More on today's breaking news. Let's go live to senior Newsmax correspondent John Huddy. John, what you got for us?
Yeah, well, Todd, we had an idea about what was coming out in this grand jury, this special grand jury report, because a portion of it was released back in February. Well, now the judge that was overseeing the grand jury, Robert McBurney, as scheduled, released it earlier this morning, and it recommended indicting 39 people and included notable Trump allies such as you were talking about, Senators Lindsey Graham. Now, Section 7 on page 6 of the report reads, with respect to the national effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election, focused on efforts in Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and the District of Columbia, the grand jury recommends that the district attorney seek indictments of the following persons, including the vote. So it basically tallies the juror votes. And then it goes on, and I wanted to read this because it gives an example of how this report plays out. It lists 30 names that include those indicted, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, John Eastman, among others, but also South Carolina Senator Graham, former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, and former U.S. Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler of Georgia. Now, in a statement, Graham said today that, quote, it should never be a crime for a federal elected official, particularly the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who will have to vote to certify a presidential election, to question and ensure the integrity of that election. And the report does acknowledge Fulton County DA Fani Willis would only seek indictments with sufficient cause. And in the case of David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, a report footnote explains how one of the dissenting jurors voted against their indictments, saying their statements, quote, pandering to their political base, do not give rise to their being guilty in a criminal conspiracy. And Todd, you talked about the Truth Social post today from former President Trump. I won't read it all again, but he said the grand jury report has zero credibility, adding essentially they wanted to indict anybody who happened to be breathing at the time. That said, Todd, one of the questions being asked right now is, will any of the people listed in the report who are not indicted be among the 150 witnesses that Fulton County prosecutors plan to call to the stand during the criminal trial, whenever that trial does indeed start? Todd, back to you.
All right. Great stuff. Great reporting there. Thank you, John Huddy. And by the way, you can read more about this over at Newsmax.com. For more, let's bring in former California Congressman and the CEO of Trump Media and Technology, Devin Nunes. Devin, again, looking at the information coming out, doesn't the recommendation show just how unhinged these people are? 39 people they wanted to indict.
Well, Todd, thanks for having me on. And I think it raises another really important question, and that is when you talk about this two-tiered justice system and a normal process following a grand jury process, then those people all should have been indicted. Now, I'm not advocating for that. I think the whole thing is bogus, as President Trump did say on Truth Social today. But how do you have 20 people or 19 people that got indicted and 20 people roughly that did not get indicted? That just makes no sense. And so it just leads to more questions than answers. And look, I'm not a citizen of the state of Georgia. But look, I think for the average citizens out there like myself now, who are no longer in elected office, we have to now begin to question the governor of Georgia and the state legislature in there. What are you doing? This looks really, really bad and really corrupt. And I understand that Governor Kemp, he has his disagreements with President Trump, but I think this is something that we all can agree on. When you're talking about indicting sitting United States senators, who at the time was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, something is wrong. Something is gone mad in this country. And Governor Kemp, who you're showing right there, I don't know what the hell he's looking at, but this looks crazy to us out here in the hinterlands.
Devin, I'm with you. We have a lot of listeners on my national radio show in Georgia, and they don't get it. They don't understand what the governor is doing here. And I understand there may be some bad blood there, but this goes beyond just a presidential race, and it goes beyond politics. We're talking about the heart of who we are as an American people, and do we really want to go down this route of jailing your political enemies?
Well, Todd, and it's worse than that. How do you explain? You have a grand jury process in place. It's governed by the laws of the state of Georgia. You just had 20 people who walked away innocent, scot-free. And I just want to make sure the fake news, I'm not advocating for that. But In a normal working system, nearly all of those people they all should have been indicted, or they all should not have been indicted. So this raises many larger questions for those of us who've been around politics for a long time. I think this, above anything, requires a full investigation by the state of Georgia.
All right. Speaking of collusion, by the way, with the left, multiple presidential libraries, including Obama, Clinton, Bush, and even Reagan, have issued a joint statement warning about the state of American democracy. A lot of people say this is a thinly veiled reference to President Trump. What's your take? Do you see the same thing?
Well, look, I think it's no secret that the establishment, especially Obama, because all roads lead back to Obama, for all the corruption that's occurred over the since President Trump was first running for office. And so there's a big cover-up going on. I think it's no question that the Bush family they don't like Donald Trump, because the guy basically upended the career of the Bush family, who had been in office for multiple generations. Multiple people have been elected. But look, this is, I think, of all these players here, Obama has the most to be concerned about, because it's all his people. You can take Biden and kind of put that in a separate silo. Look, I think he's hopelessly corrupt, biggest political corruption scandal in history. But let's not forget that all of this is because Obama and his people corrupted the Department of Justice and the FBI. So they have a lot to be concerned about, because if the DOJ and FBI actually did their job, all roads lead back to Team Obama. They're all at the highest levels of the Justice Department, the FBI, and in the White House. And they are systematically destroying this country. And I think, any Republicans that are out there that are advocating for this type of behavior at any level, whether it's the state of Georgia or at the federal level, they need to stop, take a breath, and see how the fabric of this country is being destroyed, because you're allowing the Department of Justice to interfere in elections.
Well, no doubt about that. And you're right about Obama. It's the Obama stink. And we smelled it back when he was in the White House, and he weaponized the Internal Revenue Service with Lois Lerner.
Right.
So we're seeing the same thing happen again, Devin. You're absolutely right about that. And all the breadcrumbs go right back to Barack Obama. Real quick here, Nancy Pelosi making some news. This is a shocker. She's going to run for re-election in 2024, 83 years old. Why doesn't she just call it a day?
Well, look, the only thing that I can think of here is, if you've been to San Francisco lately, this must be the reason that neither Senator Feinstein nor Nancy Pelosi want to leave Washington, D.C. They don't want to have to go back to the hellhole that they've created. San Francisco has been completely destroyed. I mean, the whole greater San Francisco area has been destroyed. I spend a lot of time in California. I'm a native Californian. Of course, I spend a lot of time at True Social headquarters in Florida. And it's like the tale of two states. Like, how can you have a state like Florida be so clean, so safe, so nice, and then you have places like San Francisco that are a total disaster? So look, I think it fits. It's fitting for the people of San Francisco. You've created the mess. You're going to live in the mess. Just keep reelecting her. I don't know. Maybe she'll live to be 140 years old, and maybe there'll be no. I mean, the last I heard, Todd, they wanted to actually. Their concept was, with all the empty buildings they have in downtown San Francisco and empty stores, they either want to replace it for the homeless people to live in, or they actually want to tear it down and just turn it back to its natural state. Genius idea, guys. Put Pelosi back in there for another 100 years, and there'll be nobody left in San Francisco.
It's a great point. Pelosi said she wanted the nation to embrace San Francisco values. God help us all if that happens.
That's right.
All right, Devin Nunes, good to hear from you. Thank you.